pain.
Cool. Let's move on to the next one. Vimeo people, that's Capigayleproductions, number 5. Go ahead and have your mouse ready. And here we go. 3, 2, 1, on pause.
Yeah, just to complete the thought of that last, I'm editing my first feature right now, and I'm wishing, I can't believe I covered this scene so badly, and I'm living with that decision. So it's not like you ever.
Trey, the director, is hated by Trey, the editor.
Oh yeah, Trey the.
Well, Brian, the editor, is
hating
is hating Trey, the director.
I got to start. I'm sorry, guys. This intro is way too long.
Yeah.
I don't want to seem like I'm being a bitch about it, but it's really, really long.
Again,
we don't need this.
Again, with any
really don't.
with any element of anything you're doing, why does it need to be there, and how long does it have to be there before the point is communicated?
I get very angry when I see a title sequence that has an inverse amount of care to it than the actual film itself.
Right.
Because you know, I'm an editor first, but I've had to learn some VFX, and you know, so I know the amount of work it goes into that sort of thing. And I don't have a lot of patience for people who spend a long time on their title sequence, and then a relatively.
And then the movie itself
suffers.
1/3 is the length of the title sequence. I have a running joke that I always say that 99% of web series are an amazing title sequence that then cuts to a badly lit apartment in Silver Lake.
Right.
I do want to appreciate though that no one did the Star Wars crawl. I will. Let's give a clap for that. Thank you.
Everyone got 10 points for not doing that.
Yes, exactly.
All right, now.
Okay, we're into a movie
here we
now.
go.
Yeah.
Some stuff's going on, y'all. How'd you guys feel about the intro credits? The actual titles on the streets and on the walls.
Fine, but does it really bring anything
concept.
to this story?
Only upon watching it a second time did I recognize. Oh, I think they're supposed to be cut by a lightsaber and they're glowing.
And by the way, these are Dutch angles for the sake of Dutch angles.
Right.
Like if you're going to be establishing, firstly, you don't need 4 establishing shots. You don't need all this. Secondly, if you do it, don't be too clever by half. Just get what you need to get and get out.
Right. And remember again, I mean, talking about title sequences and stuff. These are 3, 4, 5 minute lightsaber fights. We don't need 2 minutes of credits telling us who's in it, because largely we don't know who any of those people are anyway. No offense, but we just don't need to know who's in it. It's what is show us the performance, show us the choreography.
Yeah, you guys have intros in RVD.
Well, yes, but part of the part of the gag of RVD is that it's the forum people who hate each other getting a lightsaber thing. Whereas if you get, you know, X versus Y, it's like I don't know who any of those people are, so I don't really get why we're making a big thing of it.
Trust us, if your fight is good, we will remember you.
Yeah.
Like,
I will say though that again we're all jaded filmmakers. It's really cool to see your name on the screen. It's really cool if people helped you out that they see their name on the screen. It's really fun to have a production company and a cool snazzy logo. I understand the attraction of all that, but you know, and that's fine. I'm sure a lot of people have no problem with it all. But again, we're sort of judging on a slightly elevated scale here.
Yeah,
I understand totally why people do it. I don't question it at all.
And I'm happy to meet you halfway. If your title is quick, that's cool too.
Yeah,
like, you know,
if it's quick and fun and clever, that's awesome. And it's 5 seconds, great. You know.
When I first put together when I first finished editing Injured Stormtrooper, because the actual film itself is only like 3 minutes long or whatever. My credits when I first timed them out were as long as the actual film. It's like, okay, I got to fix that and got to run them a little faster.
I have a question for the entrant or interer or whoever it is. What did you film this on? Because even when it's playing, you guys that are watching it on the chat room there are probably seeing it at probably 10 frames per second. But here it's playing at maybe 12 or 15 frames per second. It looks very phony or very webcammy.
iPhone.
The only reason I don't think
iPhone-y.
the only reason that's right. I don't think it's one of those is that there's no hideous rolling shutter. So I'm just curious what the camera was.
Well, we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that in a second. So now we get our third entrant into the fracas here. By and large, there's a little bit of targeting issues. There's a little bit of I will give the gentleman in the blue shirt. I will say that he does make a strong attempt to sell a lot of this stuff. The problem is that the physical stuff that they're selling, like the hits and the bumps and whatnot, I think he's overselling a little bit. And also the thing is, if you injure your guy, if you have a sequence where, oh, I've hurt my guy and he's staggering backwards, the other person should make an attempt to make a kill shot that that will end up getting deflected or whatever. Don't just wait. Don't just let them hang out there.
Right. The point of and again, this actually becomes kind of a global note because there's a lot of bashing someone in the face and then waiting until they recover and then coming in at them. And the whole point of bashing them in the face is so that they're off their game and you can do
kill them.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is a larger action cliche out in the world, but. Even then, it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And it would be great to subvert that and invert that, avoid that cliche.
Well, I do have to say that again, the setup does affect some of that. I mean, yeah, I think the intent of the choreography can have many different intents.
Certainly.
If it's a fight to the death, that's one way to approach
Right.
your choreography. If it's one guy who wants to inflict as much pain on another guy before finishing him off, you would have a moment like that.
And that's
like, you know,
fine.
savor that because I'm going to make you, just make you feel every hit. If it's two guys who are sparring and not actually fighting to the death, that's a different kind of intent that also can be
Exactly.
played differently.
But
Which
in
is why I like the Eclipse entry from a couple of years ago, where the whole point was that they weren't trying to kill each other. It was the
Which goes back to defining what you're doing and what your situation
Right.
is at the outset, and letting those basic core decisions influence the decisions that then come downstream.
Right, and that's why Eclipse was one of my favorites, and still is one of my favorites, because even though there's not a lot of choreography, every move matters.
right there, when the guy did the side kick, the other guy was just standing there waiting for him to be done before he attacked. When he's literally less than a foot away from him, that's not intention based. Like, he should have done something at that moment, or he should not have been that close, or something. Some thought of should have been going into those little moments of anticipation or waiting for the other person to catch up. That's it's one thing. It's one thing when I say go for a kill shot, but something should happen in moments like that.
In terms of, I mean, go ahead.
It was just a joke. I will say that the guy in blue looks kind of like a guy that was in my acting class for a while that I didn't like, so that's a hit against it.
Are we counting that? Are we okay? So this are we actually scoring on that?
It looks like the guy who stole my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that guy.
But we haven't really been talking about the choreography, and choreography-wise, it's fairly rudimentary, I think.
It's pretty
Again,
basic.
another fairly basic one.
And I again, not to pile on, but there's a subplot here about a bounty hunter and being wanted, and I didn't
Oh, it's
quite
over.
didn't quite get how that fit
Right.
into the story.
Right.
Star Wars girl. Oh dear, and the Star Wars girl. Oh
You
my god.
jinxed it.
Oh, look at that!
Oh.
Oh, everyone look! Oh, there's a crawl. It's actually not a big deal.
Yeah.
Big deal. We were just joking about it, dude. Don't worry about it.
Well, it wasn't at the beginning. You can get away with a lot
Wasn't
more
at
if
the
it's at the end.
Also,
I think.
I think by looking at it, I think you can sort of see that a Star Wars crawl at internet size, unless you blow it up to high def, is often illegible. You
Yeah.
can't actually read it.
Bold is your friend.
Wait a second. The crawl's still going, and now it's another crawl, but it's not Star Wars.
It's
a
in
different
Papyrus,
font.
and by the way,
It's
it
in
mentioned music from
Yeah.
Twilight
Yeah,
Eclipse.
it's like
Right.
could there be any
It's
more?
all coming back together.
The movie is now at negative 47 points. Which, do we really have to?
As long
Again,
as I don't see.
you made a movie, guys, and
Yeah,
and we all made first movies that we would not. We should do that. I still think we should do that.
What?
After all the year, literally over a year that Here It Down in Front, we should show our oldest, worst, stupidest,
Yes, we
baddest
I am
should.
totally
movies.
down.
I've got some bad
We've
stuff.
No,
all
dude.
got-
Here's a funny thing
You
for
know,
those that
it's
are in
like
there.
it's all about the next one being better. That's what everything is
Exactly.
always about.
Exactly.
Dorkman
I'm-
used to rip me to
Yeah.
shreds.
Yeah.
He was right. How do you guys feel about the
Whoa.
fight, Brian, Trey?
Yeah, the actual fighting was fairly rudimentary, and I felt most of it in general was again
Didn't really grab you.
didn't really grab me, but again, props for just making and finishing the
Good
movie,
job.
because that itself is a Herculean task.